Hi everyone, I trust you guys are doing great. This live session is in collaboration with TRP Sports and our page, which talks about lesser known sports, and we introduce sports which are really not much aware of. We also highlight athlete stories and do inspirational videos around it. Thank you so much for joining and sharing your knowledge with our audience. We're extremely delighted to have you on our live session.
No, no, it's my pleasure. Uh, Again, like not a lot of people know about the athlete management and the football agents in India right now, so it's great to share some stories around it.
So, how was your journey like from to be an athlete agent and be in the field of athlete management till now?
Okay. So first, I'll speak about what my company is, and then I'll probably tell you how we started this. So TRP Sports is a sports management agency. We primarily deal with football players currently playing in the Indian Super League or the I League or the I League Second Division currently. We manage around 25 players playing in the ISL, another 10 playing in the I League, and many more playing in the lower leagues. So primarily we manage the players in terms of their contracts and everything, all other things. Other than that, we also work on sponsorships with clubs and helping clients get brand endorsements. And these are some of the things we do. So how I got into this field. Me and my partners, we used to work for an analytics firm earlier, and we were always into football. So we
Yeah.
did some research on this field, and we realized that there are not a lot of many people doing this work currently, and there was scope of some new people coming in and exploring the market. So that's the reason we all quit our jobs and started this company, and that's how so initially the tough part of being an agent is you need the contacts. So the first
Yeah.
year entirely just it's about building contacts, getting to know the players who are there in the market, trying to build up a portfolio of brands and contacts with all the clubs. And that's when probably after a year and a half is when things start getting normal and you start working with much bigger players and bigger clubs. So that's
Yeah.
how we got into the whole athlete management in football.
That's really great and very informative. I feel the journey must have been really tough at the start, but I'm sure now you must be enjoying the process of doing athlete management, right? Uh,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
uh,
It's something you dream about is you love a sport and you end up working in that. That's a great thing because like from engineers to becoming agents is it's completely different journey. So yeah, it's good. It's really good now.
yeah. So, what is if you could explain us, according to your experience, what is the relationship which a athlete agent have with athletes uh, during the whole process?
So obviously, the most important is the professional relationship which we have with them. Is see the primary objective of every player after getting an agent is the most important thing is getting a club contract. Right from whether the player is a youth player playing in the youth leagues, the under 18s who want to make it into maybe a I League second division team or break into an I League team, or whether it's a fully established player currently maybe playing for the ISL who wants a much better contract or wants to move to a different club where he can win trophies. So there are the main part of our job is to what you call get them a contract essentially. So it can write we have to help them out in every aspect of getting a good contract for them and helping them choose the correct club for them. And other than that, we also have a very personal relationship where um, it's not only about the contracts and everything. So once we do have the contracts, there are many other things which come into play, like for example helping them out if they have some personal issues going on or they want maybe help with getting a place during off season. He wants to come and train somewhere, so no matter anything which comes up, he can request us for literally anything, and we'll go and
Yeah.
help him in that. So essentially, an agent is there for you in any kind of trouble you're in, whether some PR blunders happened, or if something's happening in the social media which is going totally against you, or it can be anything. So we're always there for
Yeah.
them, and we help them out in those things as well. And now they're all friends also. Like we end up meeting up for a coffee, we have chats, we have our own. They know we play probably FIFA together, so all those stuff. So there are multiple things of relationships having with the player.
Okay. So if you could explain those things in detail for our audience, like how an agent help athletes to grow financially as well as personally, that would be great.
Yeah. Essentially, what we do is that the player can't go to a club and ask them, like, for example, if you're a good player also, I can't go directly speak to a club because I can't speak to multiple clubs at the same time. It won't look good at the player's side, and he won't be able to demand what he's looking for, and he might not be able to say a yes or a no directly to the club's face because he wants to maintain his reputation. That's the reason
Yeah.
an agent comes in. He's constantly in touch with probably all the clubs, and that's where what happens is that it gives him more options. Like, for example, if even if a player has been playing at a single club for over 4 to 5 years, he still, if he wants a move to happen, he can't do it himself, because once he goes and speaks directly to an official from another club, it might come out in the media. He might have a backlash from his own fans, and he might not be able to negotiate a good enough price for himself.
Yeah.
So that's where we do come in, and we are able to demand things and create a kind of demand in the market for him as well. Like, for example, if three
Yeah.
clubs are behind a player, we know that the market his price is going to go up further rather than where we are pushing to get him a club. So there can be two scenarios for a player. One player who's in actual demand. There might be 5, 6 clubs which are behind us to get that player,
Yeah.
and that it's a very different. So there we see what kind of importance the player is going to get, what kind of contract, what kind of bonuses, where the team is going to finish, whether it's a team which is in the top teams, or is it just going to be fighting for a relegation battle, or it can be anything. So based on that, it's up to the player completely to decide where he wants to move. But there are certain players who are like, maybe they're coming back from an injury, or who've just started off their career. They don't have many options. So there
Yeah.
it's all about pushing at each and every club to get him a contract, which might not be a lot, but it's all
Yeah.
about him getting some playing time, which is very essential for a player when he's young or when he's coming back from an injury. That's where we do come in and we push. Like, for example, we do have contacts. Maybe I might be closer to some clubs comparatively where I can push the player. We can actually help him maybe build a portfolio, a CV, where we get videos from of his using different platforms, collect stats, and then we present it
Yeah.
in a good manner where he's able to get a club because of that. This is just the whole contract negotiations part. Other than this, we also work with players for their brands endorsements. So right now in football, since the viewership is increasing in a slow manner, like right
Yeah.
now, football is second after cricket.
Yeah.
Maybe it's close to kabaddi as well. So kabaddi and football are pretty close in terms of viewership numbers. So
Yeah.
right now, the athletes are slowly in the past 5 years since when the ISL has come in. Their growth is happening in terms of how fans recognize them in belts like Goa, Kerala, what do you call Kolkata, or the Northeast like Manipur, Mizoram. That's where all these athletes are recognized. So brands which are specific to those areas end up actually associating with these players because their overall reach is much higher. And like, especially from Kerala, if you end up playing for Kerala Blasters, you end up getting a really huge following. Each and every player,
Yeah.
like, it increases a lot. So that way, it helps us in getting him brands because of his overall following in the market. So we have to consider all those factors as well when a player moves. That how it will help him socially. Like, some clubs, there might not be a lot of followers, so going there might
Yeah.
not benefit him towards his overall reach in the market in terms of his brand value. But it
Yeah.
might be helpful in his football value. Some clubs, it will help him much more in his brand value. So yeah, so we help them get like, for example, the athletes with lesser followings, we help them get
Yeah.
maybe like a nutrition partner, uh, where they are able to get their basic nutrition needs come in, then probably provide them football shoes through a Nike, Puma, Adidas, or whoever's they're interested in associating with the player. We help them with that as well. And when if the bigger players, we negotiate better deals. Like, there's some money involved also in terms of any brand like a Red Bull or a Puma, anyone who come in, they end up paying some money as well, along with other products like a Bata deal also is involved in it. But more or less, most of the players, it's a Bata deal. Just the top 5, top 10 players get paid for doing brand endorsements.
That's really important because most of the players they don't understand of managing brands as well as money when it comes
Exactly.
to finance and everything. So it's really important to have a player agent to help with
Exactly,
that. Yeah.
exactly, and
So
also
if
on if I may just add on the financial part,
yeah,
see right now with a lot of with the GST norms coming in and there's a lot of tax related things which are coming in, most of the players don't know exactly what's need to be done. So we do
yeah,
also help them with getting their taxes filed on a yearly basis where they actually end up saving a lot of money because every they all get maybe 10% is deducted on their salary. So they end up saving a lot
yeah,
of money by just by filing their taxes. They have to comply with the GST norms. Otherwise, there have been cases where some players have ended up being fined huge amounts because of
yeah.
not being registered with the GST. So that's so all those things also we help our players in getting registered GST of or filing the income tax returns regularly and all the what do you call all these aspects also are taken care by us.
Yeah. So, as you said, that it's very important and it is required in the field. If you could tell our audience if there are so many aspiring sports agents, so how can a one person be a certified sports agent in India?
So actually, being a certified sports football agent, it's very simple. You don't need any. You actually need nothing. You just need to
Okay.
pay some money. There's a fee involved, a yearly fee involved, and you have to pay to the AFF. You'll be registered as an official intermediary. So as you don't need any knowledge, you don't need any experience. You need nothing to be an official agent. But then after getting becoming an official agent, you might not have work if you
Yeah,
don't have the relevant experience or clients. So
yeah,
getting registered officially is it's really simple. It's more about getting the experience and working in it because most of the people end up working the first 1 year or 2 years without even being registered as officially with the All India Football Federation. But eventually, when you do move up and start working with bigger clients and working in the ISL, you have to get registered to what do you call it for all deals to go through all the official channels of the AFF.
yeah. So as you said that most of the people don't register themselves, but then
Yep.
gaining is it difficult to gain these contacts or understand the importance and the process of being a sports agent?
So honestly, initially it's all about why would you. So initially, first year it doesn't make sense for an agent to be registered because there's a lot of investment required. Because most of the deals which happen on the lower level, they don't require a officially registered intermediary because
Yeah,
you might not get paid by the smaller clubs and things might involve. So it's rather than when you're building your contacts and if you're bootstrapped then rather than investing 50,000 a lakh rupees on getting yourself registered with the AFF, you can actually work on building your contacts first. And once you do have the contacts, then you register yourself with the. Once you do have the contacts, you'll automatically understand that you require it. You require a registration, which is essential for you to work in that field officially. So that's when you should go and register yourself because in the first year, if you register yourself and then startup doesn't even get going or you're not able to get enough clients, you're just investing money where you're not getting enough returns. So I would rather like build your contacts first before you even get registered with the All India Football Federation.
yeah, that's really important advice for our viewers. So we'll take few questions which our viewers have. One of it is how a player can get agent if he is a player and capability um, cap have capabilities but doesn't have a very good strong CV.
So to be honest, it's see each agent has a few number of players. Like for example, you can manage maybe like a 30 to 40 or 50 depending on what's the strength of your agency. So more or less the newer players which come in, they don't officially sign with an agency. So what happens is that agencies like us, we help them out and they probably send them out for trials, have a look at the CV, try to push them at a few clubs. And once they start doing well enough at those lower levels, that's when we end up getting sign them up and get contracted with them. But before that, rather than signing them up very early where we don't know much about them and we're not too sure if they're going to do well or not, our first step is to help them in just getting trials and getting a
Yeah,
first, like for example, I know some coach who's there at the next club. I'll send him for a trial over there. So I'm going to get a feedback from the coach saying, okay, this guy was good or this guy wasn't good.
yeah,
So based on that, even I'll take a decision whether I want to represent him further or not. So
Yeah.
because again, there are a lot of players also. So I feel for the smaller players who want more attention, um, they should probably try to push themselves, go for a lot of trials. And there are many upcoming agents also who will be able to give them more time comparatively. For example, if as the question said that he doesn't have a very strong CV, so he
Yeah.
can actually try with multiple people and multiple clubs and go give trials. Once he does well, if he's spotted anywhere, eventually when he does start playing even a lower league, there are multiple agents and scouts at each games watching each and every player. So you'll end up getting noticed from there itself if you have the talent.
Yeah. That's a very important answer and very frequently asked by many athletes, like
Correct.
how they should do their CV strong. We also had underscore Dubo questioning the same question. So another question is from Aman Chaudhary.
Okay.
Sir, how can athlete management companies provide a good start for a sports lawyer or a lawyer?
Okay. For sports, so right now, every athlete management company does need a sports lawyer because there's no all contracts are different. Like for example, if you're dealing with maybe 20 to 30 clubs, I'm going to receive 20 to 30 different what do you call contracts coming in from clubs, and now probably it's getting standardized in the Indian Super League, but till now in the I League and the I League second division and other local leagues, the contracts are not standard. So each and every
Okay.
contract before a player signs, we have to run it through a lawyer who goes through it to see if any clause is there which will be a problem where the player's contract can be terminated if he gets injured, or if they can just randomly remove him after signing a contract. We have to make sure that the player's best interests are looked at. So that's where every agency does have a lawyer, in-house lawyer being there.
Yeah.
So how so maybe a sports lawyer rather than going directly to a sports manage. So see, a sports management company might just need a single lawyer or a single firm is associated with us who go through our stuff. So rather than working with a sports management company, I would say maybe tie up with a sports law agency which they work with multiple parties in the sports field itself. That's how he can
Yeah.
get into he'll get a good what do you call experience in the sports lawyers field rather than being confined with just simple contracts which we will be going through or some disputes which come up with probably the player related stuff. There he'll get a lot more where he'll be dealing with clubs, with agencies, not only football, it will be multiple sports which will be involved. So he'll get a much better understanding over there rather than working with. It's rather he should join a what do you call a lawyer agency, maybe a sports
Oh,
law company where he can get the relevant experience, where he'll get not only experience with football, he'll get
yeah.
experience not only with player contracts, he'll work with maybe club contracts and other sports related activities which are happening, maybe sponsorship and other things also will come in when he's working with a sports lawyer agency rather than working with a sports management company where he'll just be confined with the few things which we are doing. He can have his scope much bigger by working at any huge lawyer company or what do you call a lawyer agency.
Yeah, as you rightly said, we also had a session with sports lawyer Miss Ahana Mehrotra. So, yeah, even she advised the same. So, it's completely relevant that they should join the law firm. What's the least age of a player to get signed by your team?
Okay, so generally we sign players who are 18 and above because signing up minors is a little more complicated process where we have to get the parents' approval done before that. So
Yeah,
95 to almost every single player of ours is contracted after he turns 18. Before 18, we do support them, we do help them out, the aspiring athletes in terms of where to go without even signing a contract with them because again they're minors, they can't take a decision on their own. Sometimes the
yeah,
parents do get involved and sometimes they're just too young to probably have be contracted with us. So when they're so young, we're
yeah.
not so worried about them choosing multiple agencies. We help them out, we guide them in terms of options, and we try to get them a club as well. But we officially sign these players up once they turn 18.
Uh, as you mentioned earlier, if you could explain in detail, what are the different areas your company manages,
Correct.
TRP
Uh,
Sports?
Yeah. So obviously one is the player management side of it, which I've explained to you. Under the player management, I think so I've spoken about the contract negotiations.
Yeah.
and we also help them with brands, brand endorsements, and brand partnerships. One more thing which we've started recently is we are managing the social medias. So
Oh,
this is not just random posting. We help. So one, we've realized that these athletes need to get a certain amount of reach to be able to attract these brands. So rather
yeah.
than us depending on them completely, waiting for them to get their reach increase, which again, it's
Yeah.
not happening. We are providing them an affordable way of how of reaching their audiences. So we know exactly, okay, who are the relevant audiences, what are the kind of people who are following, who are following them, and who can be their potential followers. So we do ad campaigns, build content, and we slowly and we help them reach a much bigger audience. And once they do reach that, it gets easier for us. Like for example, if I'm able to provide a brand to a player, it'll be easier for me if he has a better reach, because the
Yeah.
brand will be more willing to go. I don't have to pull favors to get that
Mhm.
brand to endorse the player. So it makes my job easier. The player's happy because he's seeing an increase in following, which in turn will
Yeah.
result in more of him maybe saving money by barter deals, or eventually making more money just by the number
Yeah.
of sheer number of followers he has increased or his reach in the market. So this is something which we've started recently. We've just started working with a few clients, with a very few clients. We don't want too many clients on board. We are not doing it with all our clients also. Maybe like
Yeah.
2 or 3 clients we're currently working on, and we're slowly going to build out of it, and maybe one by one get people on board, and then we're going to work on that. Because this is a field which I feel eventually, with football growing in India, this is where all these guys are gonna, like, eventually, if even if we get 20% of the reach which cricket is getting, at least these top players who are currently playing for India and for the junior India teams, they're gonna get a huge amount of reach. So that's what we want to capitalize on. That's one of the things we do. Other than that, we also work with clubs to get brand sponsorships. Maybe we recently did a deal with East Bengal and a brand called Kaizen Sports last year,
Yeah. Yeah.
where did the jersey sponsorship was done by them. We also worked with Tamil Talaivas last year, again with Kaizen itself, where they
Oh,
sponsored the jersey again over there. Other than that, we also we work with a few brands. We used to work with a few brands to promote them in India. And we also work with a few foreign clubs who want to come into India. Probably there'll be some things, we might have some announcements coming up in the near future. But
yeah.
that's something which might happen. And other than that, other than Indian players, we also work with a lot of foreign coaches, like the current Mumbai City FC coach is ours, Sergio Lobera. Then the previous coach, Josh Costa, was through us. Then the Odisha FC coach, Joseph Gamba, was through us itself. So we work with a lot of coaches as well in the Indian Super League. And yeah, that's about it. That's and we also work with clubs on technical partnerships in terms of if they do need some, if they want to conduct some trials, or they want some specific requirements of players. Maybe we work with a club called South United in Bangalore in helping them build their teams completely from scratch and all other aspects of it. So we do quite a lot of things. So most 75% of our work is the player management. The remaining
Yeah.
all these other things which I've said comes under the 25% of what our company does.
As you mentioned that you also handle foreign coaches, I'm sure your company is making a lot of difference in Indian sports, and that's
That's
really great of
that's
you.
what we hope to.
I would also want to understand what are the different ways a sports agent charges for his services.
Okay. So mainly a football agency. I'm not too sure about what happens with other
Okay.
agencies, but as a football agent, the primary source of income comes in from the commission we get paid on each deal is being made from the club side. So, like for example, if a deal is done maybe for a 10 lakh or a 10
Yeah.
lakh or a 50 lakh deal is done, we can negotiate a percentage of around 5% is what we get of that value. We directly get it from the club. In some cases, the player also pays us, which was
Yeah.
probably 2 years back when players also used to pay a lot of 5% of this commission to the agent.
Oh,
But right now, because of the amount of competition which is there in the market,
yeah.
uh, we have most of the agencies have stopped charging players. So our primary source of income is the agency commission we receive directly from the clubs. Other than this, we also, as I said, sometimes we do charge the players as well.
Yeah.
Now, and also, for example, whatever endorsement deals happen. For example, if it's a paid endorsement deal, you end up getting maybe 15 to 20%
Yeah.
of it. And if it's a barter deal, then it depending on the size of it. If it's a very small deal, then you're not going to go in and charge the player. But if it's a big enough deal, then we again, if it's a barter deal, also we'll just charge a certain amount of commission probably from the brand and the player as well.
Yeah. That's really
Yeah,
good
that's the
amount.
primary source of income for us. Yeah.
Yeah. According to your experience, from your experience, how is the scouting process in India?
So the scouting process is it's pretty decent. So it's improving year on year. The AFF is doing a good job to at least assemble a select group of people in the
Yeah.
junior teams who they are giving like multiple exposure trips and they go out. They're playing a lot of games against good competition, and that's how that 25, that 40 to 50 kids are developing really well. In terms of
Yeah.
the overall kids, like for example, yeah, 50 of the top kids are selected from a very young age. But other than that, there's so many academies which are coming up and so many clubs which are coming
Yeah.
up, and they're setting up their own grassroots program that is providing a lot of players from not only the belt. See, the football belts have been producing, and almost every single club goes to maybe a Manipur, a Mizoram. Scouting happens there for sure. Every single club, right from the smallest club to the biggest club, is going to go to those two states, Kerala, Goa, Kolkata, to scout the players.
Yeah.
But right now, even in places like Andhra Pradesh and, for example, now Telangana, Karnataka, there's a lot of new academies have come up. Like obviously, BFC is doing a really good job over here, and there's FC Bangalore United which is coming here. South United is there over here, and similarly in even in Mumbai and everywhere, there are a lot of clubs which are coming up, and that's the reason why the overall scouting network in India has increased, has gotten better drastically. And now even many people, even through videos, if you just have some
Yeah.
videos from a local tournament, are getting picked up by some of these clubs for a trial and stuff. So I would say that it's increasing, it's getting better slowly. Probably now with Manchester, with the City Group buying Mumbai City FC,
Yeah.
I feel with their expertise, I think so the ISL clubs are going to get better in the scouting process when they do come in
Yeah.
over here, because they have an experience of doing it all over the world. And once they
Yeah.
do set it up over here, I feel it's going to get much better. And just because they start doing a good job, there's going to be a much better effort by all the other clubs to start doing that in a much better form.
Yeah. Yeah, as you rightly said, the learning never stops. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's surely gonna grow, and the industry is gonna grow in few upcoming years. So,
Yeah.
what are the different variables where while you are scouting a player, uh, in India?
So, scouting a place, mostly what we do is we get players, maybe like we get recommendations from a coach, or we watch
Yeah,
him in maybe like an under 18 I League or the Elite League or a Subrata Cup is where we watch the player. And mostly
yeah,
they are picked up by the best academies in India, for example, whichever is there, maybe the AFF academy picks them up, or a BFC picks them up, or whichever other team is there, the bigger teams, they pick these kids up, and that's when we get an idea of who's doing well, and we track their stats out of these. Like for example, in under 18 I League, we're able to get the stats on who's the top goal scorer, who's done the best in terms of which team is
yeah,
doing well, and that's where we go in and pick up these young boys from there. Manually scouting, we're not doing a lot where we don't send our representative to Manipur,
yeah,
Mizoram, or Goa or Kerala anywhere. Rather than that, we have a few coaches who are there at each of these places who recommend us players, saying, okay, this guy did well in this tournament, you should have a chat with him, and we do keep in touch with them, and we monitor their progress over time. And as they do well, that's when we pick them up and we sign them exclusively so that we can work with them in getting them better clubs.
also with that corresponding question would be like, how do you evaluate players' value?
So that's a very complicated process, to be honest. It depends on various factors. One of them is what level are you playing on? Like for example, I'll give an example of ISL right now. How do we value players in ISL? Because I League is a little more than the players who do well in the I League definitely move to the ISL. Most
I
of them do end up moving. So the value depends on which position he plays. So in India, If you see strikers, midfielders, and centre backs, foreigners end up playing these three
Yeah.
positions. And a lot of places, like a goalkeeper, wing backs and wingers is where all most of the Indians play. So primarily, what happens is that there are many right backs in India.
Yeah.
So one of the highest paid players in India are the left backs because there are very few natural left footers which are there. Even in the wing position, many people with who are right footed are able to come in and do a really good job. But in terms of being a left back, you get paid a lot of money. So one of the highest paid players in India are left backs right now. For example, Nishu Kumar is there, Subhashish Bose is there, and a lot of other guys are there who get paid a lot of money just because they're left backs. So that's a position where you get paid a lot. One more position where again you get paid probably even more than that is goalkeepers. So
Yeah.
goalkeepers are so we don't have too many very really top level goalkeepers at the moment. So you can say maybe we have uh, 10 to 15 keepers who can probably play as the first choice in the ISL. So
Yeah.
that's where for the top four or top five, there's a bidding war always going on in terms of goalkeepers. So the goalkeepers end up earning a lot of money. Maybe like some 19, 20-year-old might end up getting a crore also if he's doing really well as a goalkeeper. In other positions, it will be a little more difficult to get in over there because Indians don't get a lot of game time. Like for example, as a centre back, it's getting game time in India is very difficult. So not a lot of players are playing, but the guys who end up playing, they get paid a lot because not many are playing. So a few like right now maybe Sandesh Jhingan's playing. One of my players, Sarthak, Gaurav, they have been playing a lot of games for their for their clubs, and they have been playing for the national team as well. So that's where their value goes up drastically by playing over there. So many factors: how many games you played in the last season, which position do you play, which where did your club finish? Like for example, if your club has done even if you had a mediocre season and your club has finished and won the ISL, what do you call? You're going to end up earning more money. But even if you did a
Yeah.
really good job and your club finishes in the bottom half, you're not going to get a really good hike in your salary because of the overall performance. It's
Yeah.
a team sport. So if the team doesn't
Mm.
perform, it ends up impacting the player's price on an overall level. Yeah.
So that's a really important
Yeah.
message. But what would, according from your overall experience, what would you suggest for aspiring sports agent and also to athletes as well?
So as sports agents, it's like how passionate you are. It's all about getting the initial few contacts. See, you have to build from the scratch, and that's the difficult part. The first 1 year, 2 years is going to be really difficult, where you actually end up getting some credibility in terms of the quality of players you get, the type of contacts. See, even if you get the players and you don't have contacts with clubs, then there's no point. You're not going to be able to
Yeah.
do a good job. So rather concentrate on meeting people, going for matches, probably trying to connect with them through LinkedIn or some
Yeah.
forums, and trying to get that initial contact. Otherwise, another opportunity would be work for another agency for a year, where you end up building your contacts yourself, and then you can start your own agency after that. So that's a shortcut way of getting things done. So that's something I would advise the sports agents who are there, and try to be unique because there are multiple agents. So if you provide something unique which no one else is doing, you'll end up getting more clients. That's how you're going to end up growing because there's literally like when I started, there were probably maybe 6 to 8 agents in the market. Right now, you can say there's like there are many, like the 20, 30 agents currently or companies who are operating in the Indian football market. So the competition is always going to be there. For a single player, there might be
Yeah.
6, 7 agents behind him just to try to sign him. So you need have to be unique and you have to give him something which he feels important for you. So and obviously you have to get him the club. If you don't get the club, no matter what other thing you do for them, he's not going to stay with you for very long. So try to build the contacts and just get better with all the facilities you are providing.
That's a really important advice for
Yeah,
because uniqueness always comes out no matter if you'll do same thing every time it won't come out unless you have something unique to serve. So we'll
correct.
have few questions from our audience and then we'll wrap up. How to
Okay.
contact agents in this? How does a brand contract comes in?
Okay, so brand contract, it depends on which player is he playing, who is he playing with. and what's his following. Like for example, there are two types of brands which come in. Like for example, some brands just want to associate with the footballer. They don't, and based on his talents.
Yeah,
So they might associate, like for example, a boot company. They want their boot to be visible in the when they're playing games. So they won't care too much about how much his following is. But if he's
yeah,
doing well, he's playing for the national team, they will end up doing a sponsorship for them. But more or less, it's more like an influencer marketing thing. Like right now,
yeah,
the more the followers, more the brands which you're gonna get.
yeah,
And like if you have 100K followers, then it's gonna be way easier for you to get any brand you want, or maybe getting paid for each post, each story you put up, and even what you call nutrition companies paying you money to do their products and whatever. But if you have a lesser following, it's all about just getting. You might not even get a contract. So sometimes what happens, you just get one-off items for a post or two posts which come in, which is sometimes is what the player wants. He wants maybe like one pair of shoes, or he wants maybe someone is doing like a watch campaign. You end up associating the player with the campaign. So he's more or less like a influencer, a Instagram influencer, or influencer, a social media campaign is where he gets his products from. And once you get bigger, then you get contracts. So contracts are like similar to, it might be a 1 year deal, it might be a 3 year deal, it might be a 5 year deal. There might be money involved. There might be some other kind of incentives involved in it. So multiple things will come in.
yeah. So another question is, what exactly is the market value, and does that have anything to do with the salary and all of the player?
So I think so. Market value, what you're trying to say is, I think so. Probably a transfer market value is what that person is trying to say. So no, transfer market value is just something which is being associated based on the number of games he's playing. So each person, like half, no one knows exact. Like probably only insiders like us and clubs, and only the players themselves know how much each player is earning. Half the media reports which come out, they might not be even accurate in terms of what players
Yeah,
earn, because right from the ISL itself, players can earn between 5 lakhs to 2 crores a year. It depends on who the player is, what kind of incentives come in, how many like sometimes you might think this contract is less, but the bonuses are insane. Like just for
yeah,
making a few appearances, he ends up earning 5 to 10 to 15 lakh rupees, which indirectly is not giving justice to the contract which he's done, because for sure he's
yeah,
going to earn another like X amount of money just by playing a few games. So and you can't what do you call? There's no specific value label on each player. It's all about how you negotiate in the market and what's your demand. The more the demand for the player, the more his value goes up. It's like that. It's like any other commodity. As the
yeah.
demand goes up, the price goes up.
Yeah, that's really important to understand. And how can a person send his CV to any agency?
So if you do know the agency name, you just have to go to their website. You'll find an email ID, have or a contact number. Just give them a call, send them a mail. They're not don't just do it with one agency. Probably send your CV to almost every single agency which is there. They're at least top 10 agencies. You can just have a mail sent. It's hardly any work. You never know who responds back to you with the club. So more the merrier is the case when you are an aspiring footballer. So just go to their websites, check out their Instagram pages. You can DM them. You'll end up getting a reply soon, or you can directly mail them on the email ID and hope for a reply back.
So thank you so much. It was a really insightful session with you. And I'm sure this session is going to help many of athletes and aspiring sports Asians. So thank you so much to have a conversation with us.
Sure, sure. It was really nice speaking to you as well, and it's great what your page is doing to promote the sports other than cricket, probably.
Thanks a lot. It means a lot to us. Thank you. Have a nice day
Okay,
ahead.
same to you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for staying for so long, and I hope this live session adds value to what you really aspire to be. I hope you guys are following us, and I'm sure if you guys want to know more on many different other lesson on sports or any other field, comment down below or DM us what next live session we should do. And do follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you so much.